Hi guys, and welcome to Discovering Dorset the Shire. Today we're heading on down to Shire Hall, Old Courthouse and Dungeon Museum. It should be a good one with lots of history going on there, from the Tolpole Martyrs and right the way through to some of the latest hangings we've had within the UK. So let's go and explore. We've just arrived in Shire Hall. This is what it looks like, or the entrance anyway. If you wanted to come yourself, there's the ticket prices. I'm in quite a lot of pain today guys, so it's going to be a slow walk round, okay? Let's go. Let's begin then. This is the entranceway. We've just come through the lovely shop area here. We come first across this beautiful example of some Victorian Edwardian people. Welcome to Shire Hall. Dorset Shire Hall was a centre of law and order from 1797 until 1955. It is one of the country's best preserved court buildings and has changed little since the 18th and 19th centuries. The trials that took place here were often dramatic and tragic. They had a lasting effect not only on the people involved, but also on how we deal with law and order today. Massive map of Dorset here, look. And we are down here somewhere. We should be. There's Weymouth, West Chickerell. Where have we gone? We should be here somewhere. Radipole. Ah! I'm going too far down because of the size of the map. There we are. Dorchester. Just there. The 1816 agricultural depression engulfs rural England. 1819, the Peterloo massacre. We've got some items to have a look up on the wall here, and also some items in the middle here for us to check out. So, first thing is this little teacup. Oh. The middling classes. Tea drinking became a fashionable pastime among the growing middle classes. The price of locally produced food rose greatly during the French Wars. Increasing the wealth of Dorset's farmers, their aspirations changed, distancing them from the labourers they employed. Drinking expensive imported tea instead of homemade beer or cider was one of the ways in which they marked this change. The upper classes, the wealthiest members of society, drank the finest wines, served in glasses like this one. This elite group governed England, holding the highest positions and controlling much of the country's wealth. Local government rested firmly in the hands of Dorset's gentry. All men of substantial property, they served as magistrates and were in charge of regional administration as well as criminal trials at the county courts. The labouring classes, or poorer people, drank weak beer or cider as an alternative to dirty water. Flasks like this were taken into the fields, carried by a piece of string attached to the loops. As wages fell, many labouring families depended on assistance from their parish to top up their income. The new Poor Law of 1834 eliminated this, so that relief was only given in workhouses, which only the most desperate entered. This town, Dorchester, the capital of the county, where the assizes are held, and the Knights of the Shire elected, is one of the nearest and most agreeable in the county, and exceeded by few in England. The new Shire Hall, a plain building having a front of Portland stone and pediment in the centre, the courts are well contrived and commodiously fitted up. So this is a curd knife, and it's currently on loan from Dorset County Museum, which is another museum we'll be going to. It's from the 19th century, you can see just there. Grain production, sheep and dairy farming were Dorset's main agricultural industries. Dairying focused on the production of butter and cheese. This item was used to break up the curd so that it could be separated from the whey to make cheese. Agricultural depression hit Dorset after the wars with France, and many people became unemployed. Larger farms also swallowed up smaller ones, employing fewer workers. The enclosure of common land meant people could no longer grow. Wow, look at these scales. The market days were highlights of the week in the early 1800s. Dorset's market towns attracted people from all over the country to buy and sell agricultural produce. Local magistrates would regularly check traders' weights and measures to ensure fair sales. Dorset is a maritime county. Hemp and flax, grown in Dorset, were a huge demand for the Navy for rope and sails. Rope was also used to make the hangman's noose, sometimes known as the Bridport dagger. The region was home to some of Britain's busiest ports, and if you're interested in learning more about the rope making and the Bridport dagger, I have done another video on my channel in Bridport Roping Museum, so go check it out.
Shire Hall continued to serve as a courthouse until 1955, when the new County Hall opened in Dorset. The Courts of Assize and Quarter Sessions were replaced by the Crown Courts in 1972. These are presided over by professional, legally trained judges, with magistrates' courts now only dealing with minor offences.
As we move our way through, down into the dungeon area, the Victorian cells. It's very cold, damp feeling down here. The Victorian cells. Built in the 1880s, these holding cells kept prisoners separate whilst they waited to be taken up to the courtroom and put on trial. You can see this would be the little serving gap door, cell number 1, and a little peek hole to see through. Harry Parker, aged 7, whose red curly head reached but just to the rail of the dock, was charged with feloniously setting fire to a stable in the possession of Jane Ballard at Wareham on January the 11th, 1873. Let's see who else was in here then. Oh look, they're actually open at the top. Very small cells. I mean, you wouldn't be able to lie down or anything. Barely enough room for someone to sit. Who did we have in cell 2? Oh, still on about arson. Arson was an extremely serious offence then and now. At the time, punishments ranged from hard labour and solitary confinement to life imprisonment. There was nowhere for children to be held before trial, so Harry had to spend 8 weeks in Dorset County Jail before coming to Shire Hall. Some vents in the side of that one there, look. Have you seen the graffiti in the cell behind you? It's on the right side of the wall. Use your phone torch to help if you need to find it. What's this box? Ooh! Private Smith, American GI 1944. Hi there, I'm a soldier in the US Army. They call us the GIs. We've come to Britain to help fight in World War II. The locals have given us a warm welcome. On Sundays we go to church and they make us feel at home by singing hymns. The children love the American candy we give them, but my friend Alice Rose got arrested when I gave her a coat. She's being tried here at Shire Hall for unlawful possession of US military property. I hope she's okay. And then it gives us some examples of things. Pork and egg. Blue Star Foods Inc. What else would they have had? This is a helmet. American GI helmet, that one. It's hard to see what it says on those. I think there's a little bit more info. Let's have a look. Here are some of my GI buddies working in Weymouth Harbour, 1944. Have you seen the historic graffiti? The cell features one of the most intricate pieces of graffiti we have found in cells. It's believed to have been created by Earl Cox, a merchant navy sailor who was on trial at Shire Hall 1948. Describing himself as a cowpuncher, or cowboy, Cox was held in this cell long enough to draw the representation of ranch in Tuscan. It has been titled Home. See the graffiti for yourself by looking on the wall on your right. Where is it? Is that it there? Look. CJ was here. What was the chap's name? L. Cox. Well, it wouldn't be CJ, would it? Well, there's loads of graffiti on here. I don't know how well you guys can see that, but there's loads of different things scratched into this wall over time. Look. Crime, law and order, punishment. From the early 1800s, crime was thought to be increasing across the country. Population growth, poverty, social unrest and inadequate law enforcement were blamed. The crime that people were most frequently charged with was theft. The smugglers of Shire Hall. I like a smuggler. He's the only honest thief. Smugglers came from a variety of diverse backgrounds and professions. While some smugglers knew how to evade the law, those that were caught would have to stand trial. It was rare, however, for smugglers to be convicted or given any serious punishment, as they were able to bribe the authorities with imported goods. John Groves, aged 32, labourer. Offence, making a light and fires as a signal to person or persons in a smuggling vessel. 6 months hard labour. And Charlotte Drake, 36, no trade, assaulting and obstructing an excise officer. Sentence, bailed. Look at those cuffs. Devoyer Rutledge, age 60, twine spinner, offence of smuggling, £46, 12 shillings and 2 pence fine and a 3-month prison sentence. John Crew, labourer, assaulting and obstructing customs officers, death penalty, reprieved 1 year hard labour. And William Roper, a labourer, offence of smuggling with a 6-month sentence. Some more cells in here, look. What does this say? The new Dorchester jail opened in 1793 and could hold 88 prisoners in separate cells. Transporting prisoners to the British colonies ended in 1857. Oh, nothing in there. Waiting for something to jump out at me from there. Oh, wow, look at this. Loads more people here. Descriptions of people, their crimes, their sentences. Here we go, the Georgian cells. This is the original Georgian part of the building, dating from 1797. Like the Victorian cells, these two cells were used to hold people brought from the prison in time of their trial. The reasons for removing the floor of the first cell and what the space was used for are unknown. It was done in the 1880s when the new cells were built. What was this cell for? The original floor of the cell was removed at some point and the pit was dug out. We used to think that it was for holding people who were drunk, but experts tell us that this wasn't the case. So we now have a mystery to solve. What do you think it was used for? If you've got an idea, write it on the label and stick it on the bars. And here's the other cell, just here. And this would have held multiple people at once in this little cell here. And again, you can see it's rather small, damp, crowded, not very pleasant at all. The Georgian holding cell. At the beginning of the 1800s, trials were quick, sometimes taking no more than half an hour. As many as 50 cases could be heard in one session, so all the prisoners had to be ready and waiting their turn. Men, women and children were all packed in together. Notice the spy hole in the wall opposite the cell. This has allowed the court officer on the dock stairs to keep an eye on the prisoners. The grille above it meant the prisoners could hear noise from the courtroom above, like the voice of the judge and the sounds of people in the public gallery. And here's the vent, where they could hear everything happening in the courtroom above as they were waiting to go up. The Tolpodal Martyrs cell, this one. For 3 days in March, 6 men were held in this cell waiting to be tried. Their trial and sentencing had long-lasting consequences across the county and beyond. The men to be known as the Tolpodal Martyrs. I was not expecting a speaker to start talking. That actually freaked me out a little bit as we came in here. The 6 men who came to be known as the Tolpodal Martyrs spent 3 days in this cell in March 1834, waiting for their trial. They were George Lovelace, his brother James, Thomas Stansfield and his son John, James Bryan and James Hammett. This is probably the very table at which they sat. There's an old little fireplace thing here, look. With a little poker that's chained in and attached to the wall. And that way you can't take it off and hit anyone with it, can you? There's some more info here for the Tolpodal Martyrs. Feel free to pause and have a read. And what have we got in here? Just a tiny little cell. And another mystery box. George Lovelace, 11 years old, 16th of March. I'm George, the oldest son of George Lovelace. Our family lives in Tolpodal, 10 miles away. My father is a farm labourer and I often work with him. He's being held in his horrible cell with 5 men from our village. Their trial is tomorrow in the courtroom upstairs. Squire Frampton, a powerful landowner, says they have broken the law. Mother says that we're only asking for better wages. I'm scared that we put in prison, or worse, transported off to Australia. We've got a big old scoop. And this is a picture of my father, George Lovelace. I was named after him. And this, I assume pewter. Little pewter tankard. So I've been taken up this little stairway here. Oh, very thin little stairway. And what a change this is from those damp little cells. Straight up here. So we put on trial in front of everyone in the courtrooms. You can see the benches all the way around. And this is where they would have sat. I'm guessing there would have been one guard. Possibly the guard gets this seat that I'm sat in now. And then a prisoner that would have been chained onto here, I guess. Just enough room to stand up and talk when they need to. This is the public gallery. The public gallery is where ordinary people sat to watch the trial. This bit here. If they could afford the cost of travel and time off work to be there. Filled with men and women of all ages and from all parts of society, they could be family, friends and neighbours of the accused, legal observers and reporters, or just curious spectators. Let's go up and have a little look. See what it would be like to be part of the public. So these were the special back benches. We can't get up there, but this would have been the view. Very thin seats, actually. You wouldn't have needed to have a little bottom, that's for sure. Ladies' bonnet. Although women could not serve as jurors or magistrates until 1919, they still came to court to watch trials. These front row seats with the best view were occupied by the wealthiest. Members of Dorset society and women wore bonnets when going outdoors, or lace linen caps to cover their hair indoors. Bowler hat. Courts could be lively and crowded. Men and women from all social classes would watch trials from the public. The bowler hat was worn by working class men throughout the 1800s, and the 20th century it became a fashionable item associated with civil servants and bankers. You're on trial. Pillbox hat. In the 20th century, as more people worked regular hours, fewer could attend trials. The press became an important source of information, and sensational cases sold papers, but from 1925 journalists could no longer take photographs in court and limits were imposed on what they could report. It is still illegal to take photographs or broadcast video from the criminal courts today. Still wear these, I've got a couple of these at home. Flat caps. People from all social classes could attend trials in Shire Hall. It was important for justice to be seen and to be done. Today most courts are still open to the public for the same reasons. So the defendant came up from the dark cells below to the dazzling courtroom with everyone looking at them. The charges or details of the crime were read out, after which they would be asked whether they were guilty or not. The grand jury box, up along here, were between 12 and 23 local gentlemen whose job was to decide in each case whether it was enough evidence to have a trial. They owned buildings and land and were the most well-off and important men in Dorset. The grand jury was formally ended in British courts in 1933, but they are still part of the American legal system. Here we have the witness box. So during a trial, the witness would stand and give their evidence about the crime. Witnesses could be examined or asked questions by anyone in the courtroom except the public or spectators. The jury box. Being tried by a jury in court has been a key part of our legal system since the early Middle Ages. The job of the jury now, as it was in the past, is to listen to the evidence and witnesses on both sides. The trial jury was made up of local men from around the county. Before 1914, jurors had to have a certain amount of property to be selected, so many people were excluded. In Dorset, yeomen or farmers who rented or owned enough and sat on the juries at Shire Hall. Judges' cloaks here. Traditional judges' uniforms. The bench. This is a short legal wig. Lawyers and judges started wearing wigs in court around 1685. At this time, wigs were at the height of fashion for polite society. From the 1760s, lawyers wore shorter, less formal bob wigs with a tail, and judges began to use short wigs for civil trials. Barristers still wear the short bob wig in court today. And this would have been the view of the judge in front of everybody. You definitely feel in charge sat here, that's for sure. Dorset Bobby's hat. Well, hang on, I've just noticed that there's another mystery box. PC 185, reporting for duty. I am a constable in Dorset County Constabulary. My beat takes me across West Dorset. I receive information on crimes and make arrests, sometimes taking prisoners to the county jail here in Dorchester. Gentleman's silk top hat. By the 1850s, gentlemen wore top hats made of silk rather than beaver fur. These seats were occupied by the wealthiest members of Dorset society. They had the best view of the courtroom drama unfolding before them. Royal Navy captain's hat. Grand jurymen were members of the wealthier classes of society, substantial landowners. They may also have been doctors, lawyers, or wealthy merchants. As Dorset was a maritime county, some jurymen probably served as officers in the Royal Navy. That takes us to the end of our adventure here in Shire Hall Courthouse Museum. And we can either leave this way, or if you want, you can go through the cafe, shop, and the exit. Thank you all for joining me on today's adventure, and as always, I'll be sure to catch you in the next one. Bye for now.